just started. So we're offering right now.
But this thing is though, if they click on that and they're in the first time
like these main things that people, I always recognize, like we've been in there for so long. It's just things to do. And often it's done unless that people do it sometimes that it's not obvious.
I know this stuff too, but
Simple things like what you're saying, now we're getting the word out.
I'm sure it's way worse than control.
Find everybody by the your network's really good. Right.
It's getting better. The products that develop. I remember when Drive was crazy. That's true.
Now I just gotta get the actual go live cue. Derek, are we currently live or are we waiting?
Hey, we're live.
Oh, we're live!
Well, let me check.
I
think we're live. Yeah, we're live.
Okay. Is it anybody's first time today at 1 Million Cups? You've been here before? You've been here before. All right, cool. Well, welcome to anyone who's joining us in the live stream for the first time. 1 Million Cups, we've been now successfully meeting at the Old National Bank space. Thank you for the last couple of weeks, and we're starting to get a little bit more energy back in the room, so I'm very happy to see you all this morning. My name is Diana. I am a reorganizer for 1 Million Cups. And just a couple announcements. Next week we are doing a social at Industrious. Same time, same building, just 5th floor. So we'll be promoting that out. But so there will be no live stream next week because we will be at Industrious. And then tonight is tech start off kickoff. Spring tech kickoff. Spring tech kickoff. Thank you. I will be there. Hope to see you all there as well. That'll be a good event. Culture Community, I believe, is next week on Thursday. And I'm still looking for Ben Fair sponsors. So if people are interested in sponsoring Ben Fair as part of Badger Startup Summit, yeah, I'm struggling this morning, you guys. I gotta finish this coffee before we keep going. If people are interested, come talk to me and we'll get you on the list and get you signed up for your priority table. So,
What is that?
Badger, it's in August, so it's Badger Startup Summit. It's part of Forward Fest, and then 1 Million Cups runs the Ven Fair. So it's just a vendor fair over the lunch hour, and then so we coordinate all the sponsorship for it to cover lunch for all the entrepreneurs that present and people who attend. So it's kind of a good way to be connected in with WordFest this year for us. So thank our sponsors in the room, Old National Bank. You guys have always been supportive. And Derek in the back with Field 59 for the live stream. Thank you. And that's what I got, I think. One more call for volunteers. We're still looking for help with recruiting and social media. So if anybody is interested in being part of the team and you need to stand up here and embarrass yourself by talking, please talk to me. That would be great. So
I'd be embarrassed to talk to you.
Yeah, I mean, whatever works. You don't have to feel embarrassed about it. So we can kick off introductions. My name is Diana Pastrana. I'm with M&M Office Interiors, and we are a commercial interior design company located in Middleton.
I'm Josh Helling. I'm an entrepreneur with a background in software product development. I also consult with startups and growing companies on technology and product strategy.
TP.
I'm TP Knudten, and my company name's Collaborator Creative, because that's what I am. A creative collaborator. I help companies and individuals discover, craft, and tell their stories via the most effective channels possible. And I wrote a book with Spencer X. Smith. Did not bring a copy today. Called Pratoma, the ROI of Social Media Top of Mind.
I'm Matt Lowy. I work at Fine Point Consulting. We do outsourced bookkeeping to CFO level work for a lot of startups around Madison.
Hi, Sarah Lasker. Hi, Josh. I was like, yay, I'm going to you. I own my own business called Healthy and Huga. It's a coaching business, so I do a lot with folks in terms of wellness and health and wellness balancing and how you can become your authentic self.
Hi, I'm Theo, and I'm a web designer and an artist.
I'm Josh. I run Little Wolf Digital. We help companies and nonprofits get found online.
I'm Derek Kepler. I'm the founder of Field 59, now a service of TimeNews.com, and we're sponsors, and we're live streaming.
Mitch Stewart, I'm with Walkner Condon Financial Advisors. We're a locally owned shop on Monroe Street. We've been around for about 6 years, and a couple plugs. One is that we do a podcast that we're trying to spread the word out and try to provide some transparency with the financial services industry, specifically financial planning. And then also we've got an event on the 23rd on sustainable investing, so if anybody's interested in that, let me know.
Good morning, I'm Susie Yonkel. I am Program Director of Merlin Mentors.
Steve Glad, co-founder of 32 Auctions, a platform for hosting and managing silent auction fundraisers.
Kurt Peterson, the other co-founder of 32 Auctions.
Andrew Gonzalez, commercial lender here at Old National Bank.
All right. And with that, we will turn it over to you to kick it off.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Derek Rodriguez. Thanks for coming today. I wanted to talk to you about an idea that I've had. It's about 2 months in the making. It's a little bit more than an idea. I spent some time on it. So I want to stand here today and show you what I have and get your feedback on if you think this is something that can move forward. Think critically about things that might get in the way. Just kind of general brainstorming with me. So I created this Nized.org, and the goal is just to get rid of paper. Get rid of paper because we have such a digital world. So what is paper? Paper is huge. It was created a couple hundred years ago, a couple thousand years ago, I should say. And it's helped us communicate, it's helped us distribute information across continents. It's great. However, it's getting deprecated with the onset of things like computers, e-readers, tablets, you name it. Paper is being deprecated. Specifically, letters. Back in the 90s, we'd write letters, and now that's not a thing. It's all but just a formality at this point with email. You have things like research articles where you might have had a journal in the past. You go online, and you just find these research articles. Things like books, e-readers, and tablets. Everyone is getting e-readers and tablets, and it's becoming more and more popular, and books are kind of taking the wayside. One thing that has not been replaced, however, are receipts. Receipts are still receipts. You go to the store, you get a receipt, it's a piece of paper, and you keep it. And I don't like receipts. Receipts are a big pain. We want the receipt, we want the proof of purchase, but we don't want the paper. Paper receipts are they're messy. I have receipts on my nightstand at home, in my car, all over the place, on my desk at home. Receipts are fragile. I find receipts in my pockets after I've done my laundry, and they're destroyed. And lastly, receipts are impermanent. And to talk about this today, I've had receipts where I wanted to claim a warranty, and it's been a year, and I pull this receipt out of my filing cabinet, and it's faded to nothing. And so we should get rid of receipts and have digital receipts. And now you're saying, hey, Derek, wait. Digital receipts already exist today. They do. You go to a register and they say, hey, would you like to enter your email? Sure, you can enter your email. I'm not a big fan of that. One of the reasons is it's not simple. I don't want to enter my email at every single retailer for every time I buy something. I think it's a big pain. Additionally, it's not private. I do not like giving my email out and just, you're going to get spam saying, hey, come buy my product. I don't enjoy that, and so I really stay away from entering my email anytime I get a receipt, so the only option is to hit paper. And it's messy. Emails in your inbox, it's still in your inbox, it's just as bad as being a clutter of receipts on your desk. Another option for savvy users might be receipts associated with a credit card. And that's great. Credit cards are nice. You can go to the store and say, hey, I have this credit card and I want to return something. Give us a credit card and great, you can return it. We have that on file. But it's not intuitive. Who's to say when you're at a store that they offer this service? If you walk out and you made a purchase, are you confident that you can go back with that credit card and return it? Some of the big stores, sure, but maybe not all of the stores. Also, it's not guaranteed. If you ever lose that credit card, well, you're out of luck. You've lost your receipt. So I'm here hoping to think of a better way. What if there's a way to get your receipts quickly, faster than you can enter your email? You can get your receipt, store it, and save it. Securely, once you save it, it's stored in a secure database, never to go away, It's always there digitally for you to access. And privately. You don't have to enter any personal information to get this receipt. Seems like a dream, but I'm telling you it's possible. And here's how I propose it would work. So you're at a point of sale, and you're going through the checkout process, and you're at the point where you get a receipt. Instead of getting paper, let's say you want this alternative option. What would happen is that point of sale system would upload that receipt to Nized, to the cloud, where Nized would get that information, store it, secure it, save it, and then it would return back to the point of sale system nothing but a QR code. And so that QR code, for those that are not familiar, it's just like a standard old barcode. It can just hold a lot more information. So all you have now is you're presented with the QR code, and as the user, you can pull out your Nized app, scan the code, and all that code, and then what that does is it will log in, say, I want to claim this receipt and store it in my vault, and that's it. You've claimed the receipt, it's yours now, and you can then access your app and see all the various receipts that you have claimed throughout the years. Pretty simple. I think it's fast, I think it's easy, and I think it's possible. So to define what is Nized, to really kind of get an idea of what I'm looking to do. Nized is a service that allows companies to share digital files. And it's a publicly recognized and impartial framework. And I think that's important. We'll get to that a little bit later. It's a service that allows users to save those transactional documents digitally for free. And so this is something that it's a service that's free to users and free to companies. And I really want to focus on that because I think it's important that we have this service that is spread across everything that companies can just use. I'm not looking to sell a product per se. I'm looking to have an interface that everyone can use just for a better world. So what is Nized and what is not? So online storage. There's tons of online storage. I'm not trying to make another Google Drive or iCloud or whatever. It's not meant to back up all your personal files of movies and photos and whatever. The services exist. This is just for those transactional documents. Nized is also not a tool to sign and transfer documents. E-signing tools, you have DocuSign, Adobe Sign. This can do that. You can communicate back and forth with documents, but the goal is not to do that specific part. And lastly, it's not expense management software initially. And this is something that I'll touch on a little bit later, but there's tons of companies that already exist. I'm not trying to compete with that market at this point. There's even companies that if you want to do expense management, you can take a photo of a receipt, and it will even do character recognition and get information from that receipt. That's something that we'll talk about a little bit later. So, talk about benefits to users. The clear one is you can clearly understood receipt storage and access, which is minimal effort. All you have to do is scan a QR code and it's yours. As we go down this list, this is something that as this product grows, I would like to enter in these different areas. So another area that I'm excited about is just document storage for utility bills, or importantly tax documents, anything that is worth sharing. So what I imagine here is if you get your regular utility bill and you want to store that, you can get it in the mail, you can get it in email, but the difference is maybe in the top right corner there's just a QR code. You don't have to take this piece of paper and go to your printer scanner combo at home, scan it and store it digitally. All you have to do is pull out your app, scan the QR code, and it's yours because it has already been uploaded to the service, and the service is sitting there waiting for you to scan it. Even more exciting, more important, is this next piece, and this is pretty huge, itemized information. So things like Mint. Mint is a service that logs, or that interfaces with your bank account, and it sees what you've done, if you spent money at restaurants, at home improvement stores, etc. However, what it can't do is it can't get more granular than that. It can't say, well, you focused more on landscaping than in-house home improvement, or you want to see what your budget is and what you're doing with, are you spending money on produce, or are you spending money on snack food and junk food. This allows you to get a lot more information, and more information is just more helpful. There's more possibilities that are beneficial to the user. Speaking of junk food, calorie tracking, like MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal is great. It lets you see what you've done and what you've eaten and how many calories you have left in the day. However, it's a big pain. You have to type in what you ate, where it came from, etc. In this proposed system, all you have to do is scan your receipt. You go to any restaurant, let's just say McDonald's, you scan your receipt, it has an itemized list of what you got and how many calories there are. And you can just do association just like MyFitnessPal does. These are options that are a little bit more further down the road because it's a larger undertaking, but it's certainly possible, and this is just the beginning of the possible ideas. Following just itemized information, I think another piece would be expense management. So we're back here. It just makes sense. If you're tracking everything, then you can also track expense management. So you don't have to take those photos of receipts. You don't have to do that manual step because every receipt you get is already stored in your vault. It's itemized, and you can process that information. You can process specifically if it's billable versus non-billable. If you do not want to pay for alcohol on your business bills, you can just easily separate that out. Taxable versus not taxable, you name it. Another thing that I think is important here is guaranteed accuracy versus character recognition. There are apps out there, you can take a photo, and there's even apps that you can spend money, and they're fancy, and they will recognize the data that you took a photo of. However, it's not accurate, it's not 100%, it's not guaranteed. And so you still have to manually reconcile those differences. If you just uploaded the data cleanly, it's 100% clear, and you don't have to worry about that piece. And you don't have to take a photo of the receipt to begin with because it doesn't exist. So these are the exciting things. There's a lot of opportunities here. A lot more ideas that we could probably talk about, but let's talk about the challenges. The 3 challenges that I see are privacy, sustainability, and just driving change. So privacy is very important to me personally, and I think it's important to the success of this Nized. Really, people do not want to have their data used inappropriately, and they want to be sure that it's not being shared. I mean, that's clear today with all the news about Facebook and Twitter, sharing information with third parties, and those third-party research companies are doing things with that information that people are unsure about. And I want to make sure that that is clear, is not something that I'm looking to do. I'm aware that itemized information is a lot of data. It is a lot. And I want to make sure that this is a product that is a framework that is providing a service that allows you to digitize everything rather than just a product that is selling something. Because I think that's a big difference where it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. Apple, Android, you name it. It's something that will help everyone equally rather than just trying to provide a service. That's something that I would love to discuss further with you guys because I think it's a turning point in what this is trying to do. And so I do need help creating a community that puts that emphasis on privacy. All right, sustainability. As everyone says, you have to pay the bills. And this service is pretty lightweight, and we can talk about the technology. It's scalable, but we do need options to pay the bills. So some options that I've thought of generate revenue, I'm sure there are others. And again, I put privacy first for a reason. So the analysis of spending habits across entire populations of people. This is not just one person, what you spend where, but a research firm says, hey, we have this new product coming on the shelf, a new type of Twinkie. Who's buying it? Not who's buying it, but where is it being bought? How much are people paying for it? Are there certain areas in the US that like it more? So a lot of information that is important that you can get from this itemized data. Another thing that, again, is potentially questionable would be offers for goods and services on anonymous spending habits. This is done today. Everyone that goes on the internet, if you see any ad that says powered by Google, it's tracking what you spend. It's not you personally. It is an anonymous identifier that doesn't log who you are, but you're still getting advertisements for things that you've searched for. I don't think people are too upset with this, but again, this is something that I want to focus on what is the right line to walk to make sure that we're providing a service that people love and not something that people are afraid of losing their data. Other things, itemized monitoring for personal budgets and itemized calorie tracking. This could be a pro feature, something that people will pay for to get the benefits there. And lastly, of course, just standard good old in-app advertising. So some of the ideas that I have for sustainability, and I'd love to hear others. Incentives to change. I think this is the hardest part. This needs to be really widespread in order to kind of reach that critical mass of success. One of the painful parts is this would require software changes for every point of sale system. They need to, you have an option to print, you have an option to email, you need this third option that loads data to Nized and provides this QR code. That does take software changes. Even more, some of the older point of sale systems, this might require hardware changes because you need to have a screen that is capable of displaying a QR code and not just a line of text. And of course, the loss of in-house data and marketing opportunities. If you're offering this option and people are using it, you're losing that email channel. You're losing that way to send emails to users and get that marketing. And I think here is the problem because companies are not too excited about losing this marketing opportunity and then on top of that spending money to set up this new framework. That's why I think we really need to have the user community push companies to make this change. I'd love to talk more about this as well. So I'm asking the community, just ideas, mentorship, anyone with experience in the point of sale industry. I do not have much experience there, and I know it's a very vast industry. And just a business partner that would love to pilot the software and have it available. And that's it. Thank you. Yeah.
Do I understand this correctly that you're really talking about, you use the word framework, I would use a slightly different word, standard, creating a standard, and then a service. So, and again, I'm looking for an analogy to make it work inside my brain, and that would be PDF, Adobe created portable document format for themselves, but open to everybody. And over the years, it's now become the standard for transferring documents, especially from Mac to PC to whatever. It became a standard, a de facto standard over time. That's one of your goals, correct?
Yes, definitely.
So PDF is an accurate, a fairly accurate analogy?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. The service side is, I'm very familiar with Expensify because I work for a company and I shot the photos of those receipts every time religiously. And there was a fair amount of friction involved. So you're talking about trying to get the friction out of the service side and creating a data set that is then usable not only by the user, but potentially anonymized to the companies that are issuing the receipts, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. The third thing is, have you thought about, you're in a very tricky situation, which is point of sale, and I don't have any deep, rich experience in it, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But POS is a pain in the ass because there have been so many competing standards that people have been trying to get in for years unsuccessfully. Have you thought about piggybacking onto nascent new standards of wireless payments via Apple Pay, Google Pay? Because if you're telling me that Apple user, Apple Pay on my watch, I can do this and click, I don't even see the receipt, but it goes into a vault for all time that I have access to via however you do it. That'd be very cool. If you're telling the business that sold me the thing that you get the anonymized information of the sale, and that is a potentially saleable product from CVS to big data company. That's cool too, because then you're answering the question of who pays for this. Have you thought about stuff like that?
I have. I specifically did not put in that piece. So I like the scanning part because it's so clear. You're doing this action and you're getting that and you're storing this receipt. You can, so the Apple Pay and the Android Pay, it uses NFC. It's a chip called near field communication. It can use that, it can use Bluetooth. You can pull out your phone and it could be in your pocket and you could get that information. That is, I would say, phase 2, where people are comfortable with the service. And they say, hey, I know I'm getting my receipt. I don't need to actually do this. I know I'm getting it. So yeah, that's definitely possible. And then to your other question about, I've already forgotten.
What happens, just to interrupt you, what happens when you do an Apple Pay? Do you get a receipt electronically, or is it still processed through the same way?
Whole thing goes ding, prints a receipt.
Okay, it's not actually interfaced
Right.
with the receipt process. It's just, instead of swiping a card.
Right.
Okay, it pops up on my phone all the time. I've never used it.
My point on that is that if the industry is going toward NFC payments, they're creating a unit that has NFC payments built in for multiple vendors, Apple Pay, etc. Could it piggyback on that to say, and it also does this? It has a little QR code. And by the way, QR code, is that a little too 2010?
In a sense, yes, but they're actually becoming more popular now. I was just at,
Well, no, I was just going to say, for example, this is a reusable notebook, so I take screenshots at the end when it's full, microwave it, I can use it all again, it's all
wow.
saved.
Oh, that's cool.
Here, yeah.
Yeah, I was unsure at,
Was it? I don't know. It's totally, it's totally awesome.
I used it earlier in my program.
Yeah, you put the bottle or the glass of water on it.
Yep, put it in the microwave. It's a little burnt towards the back because I put it for too long. But yeah, but I mean, stuff like that, it's all saved here. So if I need notes again, I haven't lost my notes. And you're talking, trying sustainability for not to kill as many trees.
Yeah.
It doesn't work forever, but at least.
Yeah, there we go. So yes, QR codes are old, but I think it's more popular now. It's actually understood. It's not new and strange.
Yeah, and then, on top of that, because to get the QR codes up there, you have to have the software changes, possibly hardware changes.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't you just assign kind of email addresses to the system as well, instead of QR codes? So each user would get an email that goes straight into their account. And so then you're piggybacking on kind of the technology that's being built into the mall right now anyways, and so then that would just work as an intermediary so you don't get the spam and all the marketing and stuff, and it's just pulling out the useful information from there.
Yeah, you can, and once you do that first scan, once you have that first interface, you can say, hey, this credit card number is associated with this account, and just automatically do that transfer. And then if you get a new credit card, then you'll have to scan again, and then set it up again, and you have those options. I think you can do that. Hopefully I hit on what you're trying to say.
No. Saying more, because the QR codes, you need the software to change that they have.
Oh, okay.
Whereas if you're assigning an email address to the user that then just attaches into your platform, can't you get the data like that as well? So that they have an option first before the software changes would take place.
So you're saying the individual user, Joe Schmo on the street, gets this thing,
ML@nix.com.
You can, yeah, so you could, and you still have to enter the email address, right?
Yeah,
you type it in. It would be a good intermediary.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, just to get it headed in that direction.
I like that, thank you, yeah.
So, and my thought process going through this has been that you need to make this attractive to the people who are selling the products. Because I don't know that users saying, hey, can you get this software on your POS system is going to encourage anybody to do anything. So I think you need to provide them, first of all, paperless saves them money. I'm not sure if I'm accurate about this, but I think one roll of printer paper is about $6. So that's a pretty big expense when you're selling, 1,000 sandwiches over lunch at Subway, and every single one of them gets a receipt this long. You know what I mean? They also, yeah, a foot-long receipt for every employee, for every customer. So, I think that there could be benefits that, there'd be an upfront cost to hardware and change of the system itself, but long-term wise, they could save money going paperless. It's the same thing that happened to utility companies when they all wanted to go paperless because they realized it saved them so much money. I think the other opportunity you could provide to companies is you get your receipt, you also get either an advertisement or a coupon for return business or a promo, or this is the event we're having, giving them the opportunity to say, send the receipt, and then you can give a little pop-up for marketing. So now they're paying for marketing and they're saving money on paper, and maybe that's enough to bridge the gap of the changing of the POS system. I wonder about accessibility to the actual POS system. Like if you're checking out at a store, you're doing self-checkout, yeah, you can scan a code real easily, whatever. But what if you're at the drive-through at a restaurant? What if you're at a restaurant? You know what I mean? Like you don't go to the POS system oftentimes. So like that's something that I wonder if you thought about.
I thought that to bridge that gap, you would put the QR code on the receipt, kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you get
Still has the electronic
you get the
tracking.
error-free entry, which
Yes.
is huge.
Yeah.
You know, because how many times have you used a business card scanner and you have to go in and hand correct every single field on it because it misread it?
Well, I mean, this is a great day for you to present because I've got to go back to my office and file expenses today, and I've got probably 30 receipts in my wallet that I have to go through and individually add into a spreadsheet. So, and yeah, taking pictures of them, it doesn't really help me either. So like if I had it where I could scan it, like the Square, when I get Square receipts, I love that. I just plop them into a folder in my email and I come back to them at the end of the month and, you know, it's great. Like, so I see the appeal from the client side. I think you have to focus on how it's attractive to people who are implementing the change actually.
Yeah. My comment is similar. I think you're right that the adoption challenge is significant. Like and I don't have the POS knowledge either, but you know, my understanding is it's a very tight, cost-oriented thing. Where to the business, you know, this is an unfortunate expense, and I think in a lot of cases they're trying to cost minimize with the POS. So I think going out and saying, hey, good news, you get to upgrade all your POS stuff, but your customers your receipts would be tough. I was also thinking about Square because they blew my mind like, I don't know, a couple of years ago, the first time I got a surprise email from them. And I mean, obviously I gave them an email address at some point, and then after that it was just magic. And literally every Square terminal, from my perspective as the consumer, acts a fair bit like what you're describing.
Yeah.
I wonder if you maybe solve the one problem with some version of the second. And what I mean is, could the POS vendors and the payment processing backend be, you know, sort of where you focus, who you try to convince, rather than the merchant or the consumer? Square's cool, they're also way ahead of the pack. Is there a way you could position a platform that would be accessible to the Square competitors who are playing catch up, who don't have this ability, and say, here's the protocol for how you can then offer through your merchants to their customers, you know, this thing, you know, this set of value that they might appreciate. I mean, yeah, a lot of details, but I think you're right. Getting started and then getting to that network effect is the problem. You know, the
big gap.
Yeah.
There's different from the angle of payments just in general, whether it's POS or whether it's card providers. I guess I'm trying to think about this too. Number one, you've got to look for ways. You're gonna go gray, I think. You know, you're in business to make money, and I know initially you talked about, you know, from a monetizing standpoint, how do you get there? Ultimately, you want to be able to do that. And I guess I'm sitting here thinking, do you find a POS company that is in a specific industry? They either cater to restaurants or they cater to retail or they cater. You and I were chatting a little bit about Best Buy, and you know, again, that still is enter your email address, but then they keep that stuff. So then I'm thinking to myself, do you hit a certain store? Is it an industry? Is it a card company? Is it a POS company? But you've got to be able to start somewhere. You're not going to change the industry in general overnight, but it's a real nice, it's a complementary service to that. And, you know, like you talked about with options, how people are going to do this, are they all going to go out and upgrade their hardware? POS systems are not cheap. Many have changed, you know, with, you know, the invention of the iPad and things like that. There was companies going back almost 10 years ago that were trying to sell that stuff, and it was a tough sell initially because I had some clients that were trying to do that. Well, now that's become more the norm, whether it's iPad or if it's a different, you know, device like that people are using. But you've got to, well, and that was the other thing I was going to tell you too. I know you've got a lot of other add-ons, things that it could do. I back burner some of that stuff and really focus on what is it that you can do really well and focus on now, knowing that the rest of that stuff could be added on. But think about it from whether it's a card company, you know, it's Capital One. I'm not saying go after Visa or MasterCard. It's huge. But focus on a card company or a POS or a industry or a store to try to get some of this stuff integrated. You're right, it's not the consumer that's begging for this stuff. But keep in mind, every one of these companies is going to have that whiffum going on. What's in it for me? What is in it for me? Is it back-end marketing opportunities to this stuff, or is there some other challenge to those companies that you're going to offer a remedy to?
Okay, yeah, I like that. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, no, I was just going to say kind of along those same lines when you're talking certain industries. I know you kept mentioning like MyFitnessPal and those sort of ones. Part of it from a health and wellness standpoint, I encourage clients, use those, but it's accountability for them to actually type in and go, oh, I really ate all this sort of stuff, which is, it's really awesome because I've utilized those things before. Like, how do I just scan it in? But also that might be the catch-22 if you're looking for a specific one. Hesitant about the, fitness industry because fitness and health industry, because I would go, you're not holding people accountable as much for their own actions along those lines. Like, I went there, boom, boom, boom. And then I didn't realize, I ate this many calories or I didn't do this much workout. That would be my only kind of, thought on that. And as a Mint user, this would help you very helpful on the Mint user side. So I like that. Yeah.
I want to argue with my last suggestion. So instead of approaching it through the platform, and figuring out how to get that, just an alternative to that. So when you were talking, I'll be honest, one thought I was having was, come on, really, from the customer perspective, is it really harder for me to scan a receipt than it is to scan a QR code? And they're basically the same action. I pull out my phone, I unlock, bring up an affordance, I'm done, and move along. And I guess similarly, I don't know that I'm convinced that receipt OCR is actually an intractable problem. I just recently used Wave apps for free, simple business accounting, and they have a receipt function. I just started using it when I had to catch up with all last year's taxes, and I realized, they just nailed it. I just took shots of every saved receipt, with the exception of the faded thermal paper that I waited on too long. It was all good, and they OCR'd it almost perfectly. It was amazing. So all of that's prelude, what if it's a totally different approach? You did start through the end user, and you used an app that had really good receipt handling ability as the bridge from the current entrenched infrastructure where everybody's printing receipts anyway to this new future you want. And you looked at QR codes as the phase 2 or the phase N after you get people sold on the cool things that can happen for their lives. If they take that same action, but instead of scanning the QR code, they scan the receipt, it immediately works with every point of sale. No need to roll out, do hardware software updates, convince this big, competitive ecosystem to adopt your thing. You go from the bottom up and get the people, and then you can sell them the add-on services. You could OCR and throw away the receipt or keep the receipt. I don't know that the back-end costs end up being horribly different than the QR code thing, but it would give you a different approach to roll out. And then when you have users that care about it, you've got some actual leverage to go into that entrenched ecosystem with and say, here's what's already happening, people like it, your next version's competitive differentiator can be simplifying this for the user.
My fear there is that there are many apps that already do that.
It's true.
And so it would be hard to break into that market without anything new, right?
Yeah.
Another key market or avatar that you should look at, perhaps, is the protocol enforcers, the people who have the power to make one person make 50 do something. Like an accounting department at a company that says, I am sick and tired of getting expense reports that are incomplete or mistaken or inverted numbers and all that stuff. This system works. We're using this from now on. We'll train you on it. We fully endorse it, etc. So that one person who gets you 50, or a big enough company, that one person who gets you 50,000 users, and that doesn't rely on point of sale or something like that, which is, again, a battlefield fraught with danger and pain. And you're also talking to the people who really pay attention to eking out a 0.01% cost that we can take off the bottom line. Because if you're a family and you want to track receipts and your budget and stuff like that, that's great. You're not paying attention to it with a magnifying glass like the people in an accounting department at a major company that says, if we can lose 5 sheets of paper per person per year, we will save $50,000 or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so I am on your train of thought now with going through the POS systems, what I really think you have here is a good feature for a POS system to turn around and sell somebody who has an existing POS system that's fine, new technology to save them money. I think you have to sell to them, maybe let them brand it, and then let them sell it for you. So I did an interview once. It was like the most ridiculous interview. And it was for a company that sold POS systems. And they are constantly looking at replacing POS systems that are fairly new. Like they said, like every 2 years is their goal to get a new POS system into a company. And they said that that can be motivated by like chip cards. You know, that was a big thing. Everybody needed to get new POS systems when chip cards came around, right? So they have things in their industry. So if you could become a feature to help them sell to their clients a new, you know, paperless technology, then you don't have to make the individual connections with the merchants. You have whole slews of people out there knocking on doors for you. And then, you know, maybe that is, you know, a positive change. Maybe it's something they're already looking for. I mean, I would reach out to, I would just apply to a couple of these jobs and then see if they, see if they'll give you some feedback, because you know, they're always looking for new people to go knock on doors.
Well, and that becomes a differentiator for the POS maker.
Yes.
Hey, not only do we have the chip card, we've got the chip card with the NFC antenna, and we have a display that would show this.
Yep.
So it becomes, ooh, okay, you've given me a reason to upgrade after 2 years.
Yeah. Because
companies are aware of this stuff. You know, we talk about Best Buy. Walmart has I have a Walmart app. I've registered a card. When I do the QR code, it not only pays for it off the card I have registered, but it stores a receipt for me forever. Menards also has a feature where if you've used a card, debit or credit card, they have a little kiosk you can go to for I think 5 years or 7 years, put in that card and go back and track all of your purchases and pull up and reprint any receipts that you want. So there's a need for this. Some companies have recognized it. Some are doing better than others. I think that Walmart one is probably a little further down the road than some of the other companies are. But you know, I think you're on to something. It's just a matter of who do you tap into for this, and how do you push this to market and let people brand it the way they want to, and then you make money because
it's still powered by Nized instead of the product.
Kind of. Right.
Yeah, because trying to create a consumer level brand at POS, good luck.
It's true.
But if you can be a piggyback complementary component of an existing, like if you've got NCR
NCR,
National Cash Register is the name of the company, but it's a POS manufacturer, and if you got NCR to say, yeah, this would be valuable as a differentiator, as a profit center, as something new to talk to our customers about, you could have a viable business potentially. But then you'd be locked into NCR, and frankly, that might be your play, which is create something that somebody wants to buy and then support to the level of Adobe with PDF.
So have you talked to companies in town about this sort of thing, like other POS companies or retailers, that kind of thing?
So I haven't done that, mostly because it's such a scary area.
Sure.
That I kind of want to focus on the product. I've been sitting at my home office developing an app that does the initial kind of demo framework. So no, the answer is no.
I'm asking because I've done SEO work and paid search work for a company in Sun Prairie. It's kind of on the edge of the east side of Madison in Sun Prairie, called Wind River Financial. And they are very nice. They are part of the Made in Madison group, and they do POS stuff. They're looking for software ideas all the time. And I think that would be a good point of entry for that kind of thing. But more importantly, they have information on their customers and the people that they actually sell POS things to. And they would probably be able to tell you what their customers actually need and what sort of things they've been looking for. And if you could fill any of those needs, they would probably be a good partner for information. And they'd also be more willing than, I'd say, a Best Buy or a Walmart or whatever to talk to you and hopefully see if there's any kind of a relationship there. So I would call them today and see if you can get an appointment.
Yes, I will. I'd love to talk to you afterwards as well.
All right.
Thank you.
On that note, it is 9 o'clock, so thank you everyone for your questions, and thank you, Derek, for presenting, and have a great day.
Just follow up with you. So it's very common. So it's you